out of proportion that this woman came from Pakistan and managed to enter India, or do you think this is indeed a security concern for India?
Critical about the government is one thing, but obsessed about one man is another thing. Multiple people from that 28 parties said the same thing. Our agenda is to defeat Modi. So much so, sir, they were not even clear about the name.
Why is the NDA being revived? Is there a genuine sort of fear within the BJP and the NDA that this 26-party alliance, at least on paper, looks formidable?
Good evening, hello and welcome. You're watching CNN News 18. This is Nation at 5 with me, Poonam Burde. There's lots lined up for you on this edition, but let's get you started with breaking news that's coming in from Jammu and Kashmir. And it's an exclusive that CNN News 18 has accessed for you. This is the first step, or one step closer towards elections being held in Jammu and Kashmir. There is an amendment to the reorganization bill of Jammu and Kashmir that is going to be tabled, that is going to be brought in by the central government. CNN News 18 has access details of what those amendments to this 2019 bill are going to be. There are several provisions that are going to be made as far as this particular bill goes. One, that there will be amendment to ensure that there is a reserved seat for Kashmiri migrants in the J&K Legislative Assembly. One for displaced persons from Pakistan-occupied Kashmir as well. This is going to be the big move as far as inclusivity is concerned. Those members are going to be nominated and not elected. They're going to be nominated by the Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir according to this amendment in the 2019 bill. Tejinder, my colleague, getting us more details. Tejinder, we've accessed the amendment that the centre plans to bring in. This is a 2019 bill, but now amendments are being made to ensure that there's more inclusivity, that political rights of many others in Jammu and Kashmir are also looked into.
Yes, you see, for past 70 years, these communities, especially the Kashmiri Pandits, the residents of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir who had migrated to Jammu and Kashmir post the division of the country, now finally they will get their rights. Those people who have been questioning what changed after the abrogation of Article 370, this is what has changed, as the people who were ignored earlier, they will get their dues now. The Union government would be introducing an amendment bill in the Parliament which would give rights to these people. As per the details which News 18 has accessed, the Kashmiri Pandit community in Jammu and Kashmir, they will get 2 seats in the Legislative Assembly, which include 1 for a woman. Also, there would be 1 seat which would be reserved for the migrants from the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. And also, as you rightly pointed out, that all these seats will be nominated by the Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir. So a big move of the Union government for giving rights to all those communities who had suffered for the past more than 70 years. Finally, while this amendment bill would be introduced in the current session of the Parliament, there would be a discussion on it, and finally, every likelihood that this bill would be passed. Now it is to be seen whether the opposition political parties, especially the National Conference, the PDP, what would be their reaction, because they are yet to react on this bill. But yes, a big move by the Union government. This bill would be introduced in the ongoing session of the Parliament. Yes.
And Tejinder, this could also be the first hint of elections that would be held in Jammu and Kashmir as well. The delimitation process was recently concluded. Remember, there haven't been elections or an elected government in Jammu and Kashmir since the abrogation of Article 370.
Yes, indeed. Even it's been more than 6 years that the Jammu and Kashmir government, there has been no elected government. Even prior to the abrogation of Article 370, the earlier government, we had the governor rule in Jammu and Kashmir for quite some time. So it's been almost more than 5-6 years that Jammu and Kashmir does not have an elected government. But now that this bill would be introduced in the Parliament, so clearly it also hints toward the fact that the government of India is willing to hold assembly elections in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, which has been long overdue. This bill is passed. This amendment bill is passed to pave the way for those marginalized community, especially the Pakistan POK residents and also the Kashmiri Pandit community that was forced to leave Kashmir Valley. The Kashmiri Pandits who were forced to leave Kashmir 30 years ago. And since then, they have been struggling, they have been fighting for their rights. But now the union government deciding that 2 seats, one for a male member and one for a female member from the Kashmiri Pandit community, and then one seat would be reserved for the residents of Pakistan occupied Kashmir who have been living in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir for more than 70 years. So though the POK residents, they were demanding that 5 seats should be unfreezed for them because there are at least 24 seats that have been kept frozen for the residents of POK since 1947. As the government of India has been saying that POK is legally belongs to Jammu and Kashmir, to India. So 24 seats have been left frozen for them. But now the government says that 1 seat in the current assembly after the delimitation, now 1 seat would be reserved for POK residents and 2 for Kashmiri Pandits. So this is a big move of the union government that once this bill is passed and the assembly elections are held, the Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir would have this power to nominate 3 members, 2 from the Kashmiri Pandit community and 1 from the POK refugees. Yes.
Yes, sorry to interrupt you there, Tejinder. I'll come back to you, but PDP's Firdaus Tak now joining us here on this broadcast. So thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. Your first response to these amendments that the centre wants to bring in for more inclusivity as far as Jammu and Kashmir goes. There will be reserved place for Kashmiri Pandits for those who've been rehabilitated from POK as well.
Well, I think we will have to first see the bill, which I understand is yet to be tabled before the Parliament. From the media report, what we are right now getting from the media report is that Union government is intending to have some seats reserved in the State Assembly, and also there are chances that the existing number of the seats are being enhanced. But it is completely surprising that the Union government intends to have these seats reserved in contravention to the constitutional provisions, because what we are getting from the media reports, that's what what I'm saying is that we have to go through the bill, which is yet to be present. But from the media report, what we are getting is that these seats are to be nominated by the Lieutenant Governor. So this provision is completely alien to the constitutional provision, the constitution of the country. So let's wait and see what provision is being brought before the Parliament.
So, Mr. Tak, you're saying that the only issue is that they're not going to be elected representatives, but they're going to be nominated representatives. But as long as there are reserved seats for them, then that is not an issue?
Well, see, nobody is against the reservation to these communities. But this is surprising that there were seats reserved for 2 women legislators in the State Assembly prior to the abolition of Article 370, but the prerogative of nominating the women representatives to the Parliament was with the state government, and this provision is also in rest of the state in the country. But I think Jammu and Kashmir would be the only union territory where the right to appoint or to nominate these reserved seats is going to be vested to the Lieutenant Governor, which is in contravention to the already existing provisions of the Constitution.
Sure, so this would be undue interference from the centre side or the Lieutenant Governor's side is what it would seem like if that is what the bill actually does come into effect happens. For the moment, Firdaus Tak, thank you so much for speaking with us here though on CNN News 18 and sharing your perspective. My colleague Tejinder continues to be with us as we get you this exclusive as far as the amendment to the 2019 J&K reorganization bill is concerned. Now, Tejinder, one of the questions that have been raised by the PDP is that why does the LG have the right to nominate these members?
You see, earlier also when Jammu and Kashmir used to be a state, there was the provision that the members to the Legislative Assembly would be nominated by the then governor on the recommendation of the Chief Minister. Now that we don't have a Chief Minister in the state and all those powers are vested with the current Lieutenant Governor, so clearly the nomination has to be done by the Lieutenant Governor, and also as per the demand of the Kashmiri Pandits and the displaced Pakistan occupied Kashmir refugees, that those people who don't have any political affiliation, who don't belong to any political party, but they are actually the representatives of these displaced communities, they should be nominated. So when the Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir would be nominating either the member from the Kashmiri Pandit community or from the POK refugees, then it would clearly mean that these nominees, they will not have any political affiliation, and people who are actual representative of these communities, they would be elected. So that is why this provision has been kept in place, that Lieutenant Governor would get to nominate these members. So clearly this was the actual demand of these displaced communities, that those who earlier also, whenever the MLAs, they were nominated because their nomination was based on their political affiliation. But now
Yes.
This nomination would have nothing to do with their political ideology or political affiliation. It would be only their standing with these community members and their leadership qualities, which they have been representing these either the displaced Kashmiri Pandits or the displaced POK refugees. Yes.
Yes. Now, this provision has been made as far as the reorganization bill amendments are concerned. But right after the delimitation process, Tejinder, there was scope that was made for inclusion of scheduled tribes as well within a reserved category, so to say, within the assembly, because the seats went up from 107 to 114, and 9 of those seats were going to be reserved for scheduled tribes.
Could you repeat your question?
Tejinder, the inclusion of Kashmiri Pandits and those being rehabilitated from POK are now being mentioned in this particular amendment. But right after the delimitation process, there was a provision that was made for reserved seats for scheduled tribes as well within the assembly.
Yes, that is a different thing, because those people, they already have a representation, and there is another bill that would be discussed in the parliament, wherein the reserved category would be given to the scheduled tribes in Jammu and Kashmir. But as the Kashmiri Pandits and POK refugees who have been living in Jammu and Kashmir for past more than 7 decades, when they were not having any representation, so this bill has been particularly brought for these two communities only. That is the POK refugees from POK, and also the displaced Kashmiri
Yes, sorry
Pandits.
to interrupt you there, Tejinder. I'll come back to you. But filmmaker and activist Ashok Pandit joining us here on this broadcast. Activist Farooq Renzu Shah also with me. Let me get in the first question from Mr. Shah. How do you look at this amendment that is being brought by the central government as far as the Legislative Assembly in Jammu and Kashmir is concerned, where there will be a reserved space for Kashmiri Pandits and for those being rehabilitated from POK as well?
I tell you, I myself, as the chief chairman of a Kashmir Society, it is in the record, in the Grand Hotel, we met the delimitation commission ourselves as a voice of the Kashmir, and we brought in their notice a big paradox which is presently going on from 1947 till date, is that when the Parliament of India has agreed that 25 seats of POK are reserved, and when the accord of the Maharaja is signed, where the map is not only up to Uri, but map is up to Durand Line, Khanjari Pass, Baltistan, Gilgit, and the Silk Route, Muzaffarabad along. Now, actually, it was the Delhi agreement was the dynastic agreement, where these people have actually justified the division of Kashmir. And why should Kashmiris suffer for we have been deprived of a 25 seats? These 25 seats, if Constitution of India is to be adhered, if accord of Jammu Kashmir with India is to be really followed well, it should be that all 25 seats should be filled. Then the election in Jammu Kashmir will be constitutional. and Panditas I support. Why not Panditas will be given these days? This was Nizam Mustafa of Ziaul Haq extremists. They are still thriving in Kashmir. Those people engineered the exodus of the Kashmiri Pandits settled for thousands of years in Kashmir. And now they have been just given only one seat. I think according to the percentage, they should get the 5 seats. And we are here in Kashmir. We should get all 25 seats filled. Let the world see the triumph of the democracy.
Sure. So representation is important as far as all parties are concerned. As far as Jammu and Kashmir goes, more representation for Kashmiri Pandits perhaps would be the right step, but this is one step in the right direction. And Ashok Pandit, would you agree that as per the population, perhaps there needs to be more representation, perhaps more reserved seats for Kashmiri Pandits, but at least this is one step in the right direction. There is recognition now at least.
Good evening. I really welcome this initiative taken by the government of India of for inclusion of 2 seats in the assembly for Kashmiri Congress. I think it's a great initiative for that community which had suffered the worst possible genocide, worst possible ethnic cleansing, and the exodus. So the community which was always treated like a second-rate citizen in Kashmir and in the state. A great sign. This will really boost the morale of this entire community of
Yes.
ours.
All our citizens. The Honourable Home Minister of India, Shri Amit Shah ji, today in Lok Sabha appealed to all members of the opposition to initiate a discussion, a debate on the issue afflicting the state of Manipur. Amit Shah ji has repeatedly said that in both houses of parliament, he as Minister in charge of Home Affairs would like to bring certain facts to light. That the discussion is important from a perspective of national security, internal security, that this discussion, this debate is also expected by citizens of our country who elect us to Parliament so that issues of national importance can be productively discussed. What is shocking is the insistence of the opposition parties to not allow facts to come to the fore. देवी और सज्जनों, आज आपके माध्यम से मैं राष्ट्र के हर नागरिक को देश की संसद में आदरणीय गृह मंत्री अमित शाह जी के वक्तव्य से अवगत पुनः कराना चाहती हूं। गृह मंत्रालय की ओर से मणिपुर में कानून व्यवस्था के संदर्भ में, आंतरिक सुरक्षा के संदर्भ में देश के माननीय गृह मंत्री जी दोनों सदनों में चर्चा के लिए तैयार हैं। हम अचंभित हैं कि विपक्ष मणिपुर पे चर्चा से भाग रही है। देश की जनता जनप्रतिनिधियों को संसद में चुनकर इस दायित्व के साथ लाती है कि गंभीर मुद्दों पर संवैधानिक और सुरक्षा और साथ ही साथ राष्ट्रीय मुद्दों पर हम संसद में चर्चा करें। भारतीय जनता पार्टी के कार्यकर्ता आज राष्ट्र को आश्वस्त करना चाहते हैं कि देश के गृह मंत्री दोनों सदनों में चर्चा के लिए तैयार हैं। प्रश्न ये उठता है कि विपक्ष मणिपुर से संबंधित घटनाओं पर चर्चा करने की बजाय उस चर्चा से संबंधित मंत्री द्वारा चर्चा से क्यों भाग रही है? I'll now leave the floor open for questions. हाँ जी,
मणिपुर में पहला ये कि कांग्रेस पार्टी बार-बार ये जो प्रधानमंत्री के स्टेटमेंट की बात कर रही है, उसके पीछे आप मुझे क्या देखती हैं? दूसरी चीज की राजस्थान को लेके है, वहाँ पे लैंड डायरी की भी बहुत ज्यादा चर्चा चल रही है। ऐसा पहले डॉग फिल्म में हुआ था लैंड डायरी, आज राजस्थान विधानसभा में बहुत ज्यादा उसकी चर्चा है। तीसरी चीज भी राजस्थान से ये कांग्रेस के प्रभारी है रंधावा, ये इनके लिए बहुत आपत्तिजनक शब्दों का इस्तेमाल उन्होंने किया।
आपके 3 प्रश्न हैं विविध विषयों पर। पहला प्रश्न कि कांग्रेस पार्टी क्यों माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी पर अभद्र टिप्पणी कर रही है। कांग्रेस पार्टी और कांग्रेस पार्टी से संबंधित व्यक्ति ये सोच रखते हैं कि जिस डायनेस्टी के छत्र छाया में वो अपना राजनीतिक जीवन जी रहे हैं, उस एक परिवार को विशेष नरेंद्र मोदी जी का अपमान पसंद आएगा। इसलिए मैं अचंभित नहीं हूं कि कांग्रेस के एक ऐसे नेता ने आपत्तिजनक टिप्पणी सिर्फ प्रधानमंत्री जी पर नहीं, बल्कि उनकी माताजी जिनका स्वर्गवास हो चुका है, उन पर भी इस प्रकार की अमानवीय टिप्पणी की है। पहले भी मीडिया के माध्यम से हम कांग्रेस और कांग्रेस समर्थकों के मुख से नरेंद्र मोदी जी को मौत के घाट उतारने वाले वाक्य सुन चुके हैं। गालियों की श्रृंखला में एक और वाक्य पुनः जोड़ा है कांग्रेस के एक नेता ने। मुझे कोई उम्मीद नहीं है गांधी खानदान से कि वो प्रधानमंत्री जी और उनकी स्वर्गीय मां पर हुई इस अभद्र टिप्पणी पर कोई भी कार्रवाई करेंगे, बल्कि मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि अभद्र टिप्पणी करने वालों को जरूर गांधी खानदान पुरस्कृत करेगा। आपका दूसरा प्रश्न था लाल डायरी पर। मैं स्तब्ध हूं ये जानते हुए कि एक संवैधानिक पद पर बैठा मुख्यमंत्री एक जनप्रतिनिधि को निर्देश करता है कि सेंट्रल एजेंसी की इन्वेस्टिगेशन में जाकर वो खलल दे और एविडेंस चुराकर भागे। एक, ये केस ऑब्स्ट्रक्शन ऑफ जस्टिस का है। दूसरा, डायरी लाल हो, पीली हो या हरी, अब यह साफ हो चुका है कि उस डायरी में लिप्त हैं कांग्रेस के काले कारनामे। आपका देवेंद्र जी एक और प्रश्न है, लेकिन अगर सारे प्रश्न आप पूछेंगे तो आपके बाकी साथियों के पास प्रश्न पूछने का समय बचेगा नहीं।
यतीन्द्र, टीवी 18।
जी,
चौंकाने वाला मामला सामने आया है कि जो आंध्र प्रदेश का वक्फ बोर्ड है, उसने जो अहमदिया मुस्लिम समाज है उसको मुस्लिम मानने से मना कर दिया और उनको काफिर तक करार दिया। क्या वक्फ बोर्ड ऐसा कर सकता है?
मंत्रालय में अहमदिया समुदाय से निवेदन प्राप्त हुआ कि उन्हें एक राज्य के वक्फ बोर्ड ने काफिर घोषित कर दिया है। मैं अल्पसंख्यक मंत्री के नाते यह स्पष्ट कर देना चाहती हूं, देश का कोई भी कानून वक्फ बोर्ड को यह इजाजत नहीं देता कि वो किसी को अपने धर्म से विहीन करे। इस संबंध में यह भी स्पष्ट करना चाहती हूं, मेरे पास जो जानकारी आई है उसमें यह ज्ञात हुआ है कि किसी एक नॉन स्टेट एक्टर, एक संगठन के फतवा को सरकारी ऑर्डर में तब्दील किया गया है। यह भी संविधान और एक्ट ऑफ पार्लियामेंट के विरुद्ध है। हमने प्रदेश की सरकार से गुजारिश की है कि वो संबंधित वक्फ बोर्ड के संदर्भ में कार्रवाई करके हमें सूचित करें।
All the teams are doing survey work at different locations. This is what we are learning, and this is happening inside the Gyanvapi campus as well. Means one team is working on the western wall and the other team is working under the tomb. So this is the recent update we have about that survey, which is currently underway. We have News18's Amit Singh joining me live on the broadcast.
सर्वे किया जा रहा है, लगातार सर्वे किया जा रहा है ताकि जल्द से जल्द इस सर्वे को कंप्लीट करना है, क्योंकि 4 अगस्त को सर्वे रिपोर्ट कोर्ट में दायर करना है। हम लगातार अपने दर्शकों को तस्वीरें भी दिखा रहे हैं, अंदर की अपडेट भी लगातार दे रहे हैं कि सबसे पहले साफ सफाई किया गया, साफ सफाई के बाद वीडियोग्राफी हुई, वीडियोग्राफी के बाद अब जो सर्वे की जो प्रक्रिया है, जो इंची टेप से नापना, वीडियोग्राफी करना और तमाम जो साइंटिफिक तरीके से किस तरीके से जो उम्र है, जो कितने साल का ये बिल्डिंग है, कितने साल की पश्चिमी दीवार है, कितने साल का गुंबज है, उस बारे में पता लगाना। तो अब एएसआई की टीम लगातार काम कर रही है।
Muslim side has already moved to the Supreme Court. They have knocked the apex court's gate today. The matter is going to be heard on the same as well. So the Muslim side is clearly not very happy with Varanasi court's order and allowing them for the ASI's survey today. We have some reactions coming in from the Muslim side. Let's listen in.
इमाम व ख़तीब शाही जामा मस्जिद ज्ञानवापी बनारस व जनरल सेक्रेटरी अंजुम इंतज़ामिया मसाजिद बनारस।
आज सर्वे हो रहा है, उसको लेके
हमारी प्रक्रिया ये है कि हम लोगों ने कल डीएम साहब और कमिश्नर साहब, पुलिस कमिश्नर साहब के आवाज़ पे मीटिंग हुई थी। डीएम साहब भी वहाँ मौजूद थे। तो हम लोगों ने उनसे कहा कि भाई ये जो सर्वे होने जा रहा है उसकी हमें एएसआई द्वारा कोई सूचना नहीं मिली है और कोई नोटिस वगैरह हमको मिली नहीं है, तो हम उसमें शामिल नहीं हो सकते। दूसरी बात यह कि उस आदेश के ख़िलाफ़ हम सुप्रीम कोर्ट गए हुए हैं। आज हमारी हेयरिंग है, तो जिस चीज़ में आज हेयरिंग हो रही है उसी चीज़ में हम वहाँ शामिल कैसे हो सकते हैं। तो हम लोगों ने लिखित रूप से इन लोगों से गुजारिश की कि आप अपने द्वारा हमारी बात आगे उन तक पहुँचाएँ कि इसको एक दिन के लिए आगे बढ़ा दें, ताकि हमारी ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट वाला जो मरहला है वो गुजर जाए। उसके बाद हम उसमें शामिल होंगे, उसमें आपका ताउन करते, आपका सहयोग करते। लेकिन अब उन लोगों ने वादा तो किया था कि आपकी ये बात ऊपर पहुँचाई जाएगी, क्या हुआ क्या नहीं हुआ। अब आज सर्वे हो रहा है, तो इसलिए हम लोग ने उसको
आज सुप्रीम कोर्ट में आप लोगों ने क्या सर्वे का बहिष्कार किया हुआ है?
बहिष्कार किया हुआ है।
किसी तरह से कोई पक्ष मुस्लिम पक्ष की तरफ से अंदर नहीं मौजूद है,
कोई उसको शामिल नहीं है।
अच्छा, जो आदेश आया था उसमें क्या लिखा था कि 4 तारीख तक सर्वे रिपोर्ट सौंपी जाए कोर्ट को,
हाँ।
कि क्या क्या सर्वे किस तरह का होगा, ये रिपोर्ट सौंपी जाए।
ये डिटेल जो है अभी हमको वो कल रात में काफ़ी मिली हुई है, अभी हम उसका पढ़ नहीं पाए हैं, ये तो वहाँ मालूम होगी। लेकिन इतना ये है कि हम जो है, क्योंकि ये 2 वजह है, इस वजह से हम उसमें शामिल नहीं हैं।
तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट में क्या पक्ष रख रहे हैं आप?
सुप्रीम कोर्ट में कि भाई ये एक तरीके से जब जिस चीज़ पर रोक लगी हुई है, सन 91 से रोक लगी, स्टे लगा हुआ है, और उसके स्टे को इसको नज़रअंदाज करते हुए आदेश जारी कर दिया गया, तो उसके खिलाफ हम गए हुए अपनी बात रखेंगे। भाई ऐसा है, अब सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जो फैसला होगा वो देखा।
लेकिन हिंदू पक्ष कह रहा है कि मुस्लिम पक्ष डरा हुआ है, इस वजह से सर्वे नहीं चाहता, इस वजह से विरोध कर रहा है।
ये बिल्कुल, ये हमने अभी कहा कि अगर एक
I have CNN News 18's legal correspondent Ananya Bhatnagar joining me live on the broadcast. Ananya, clearly the Muslim side is not very happy with Varanasi court's order. They have reached the apex court also. What do we know about that? Also, could you tell us the major key takeaways from the past surveys on the same complex?
Well, definitely, Sakshi, the matter is before the topmost court of the country. An urgent mentioning would be made, as we have been told by the Muslim side with regards to the orders that have been passed by, in fact, the Varanasi court directing Archaeological Survey of India survey at this particular site, except for the Vazu area, which has been sealed by the topmost court of the country by its earlier orders. Now, what is very important to note is that they have also sought a particular direction that all of the suits that are pertaining to the Gyanvapi case and this whole disputed site should be stayed until the Supreme Court actually give its final verdict. So whether or not that would be allowed is something that is a matter of time. But as you asked me, the second part of your question, what are the key takeaways of the previous surveys? Now, in the previous survey, the Advocate Commissioner's survey, the videography was done of the Vazu Khana area, where what the Hindu side claims it to be a shivling, while the Muslim side says that it's a fountain that has been found there. But at the same point of time, we have to understand the demography of that particular whole structure, the Gyanvapi site, includes various areas, which includes a central dome. There are three basic domes. The Hindu side claims that on the central dome, beneath that, there is a Khana, where in fact there would be two more shivlings, and in fact the original shivling of the Adi Visheshwar temple that would be gained back is what has been claimed by the Hindu side. Apart from that, what has also been stated is that on the northern and the southern side of it, the Tehkhanas are all, another Tehkhanas are there, and in fact under that also we might see that the Hindu relics are found. Under the central dome, there is a hollow sound that comes, which is basically the Hindu side claims is there has been some kind of artificial construction that has been made in order to hide the actual structure of that central dome, and to say that there was a Hindu site that was existing there. Apart from that, the western wall, which is one of the key important aspects of this particular survey, is that that wall is engraved with Hindu relics. It has signs of swastik and various other Hindu relics that are there. Also, that the pillars that are there at the Gyanvapi site stand on, in fact these pillars are of the Hindu temple which Aurangzeb had raised, and then a mosque was built, is what has been claimed by in fact the Hindu side. Now, what are the dating techniques and what are the techniques that would be used by the Archaeological Survey of India to actually conduct these survey? Two major techniques would be used by in fact the Archaeological Survey of India. One is the GPR, that is ground penetrating radar. Now, what ground penetrating radar is, that it is a machine consisting of two parts. One is a transmitter and one is a receiver. Now, the transmitter is placed in order to send electromagnetic waves down, in fact down to the ground, beneath the ground, in fact, to see as to whether something is beneath that particular ground, and if at all there is some kind of a structure or some kind of a artifact that is buried under the ground, that wave would hit it and would come back to the receiver, which would show that there is something, and then excavation can actually take place. Okay. And if at all something is found, then a dating exercise is carried out in order to know as to which period does this particular relic or particular the point in contention comes from. It would also be carried out on the pillars and the central dome of in fact this particular site. So how will the archaeology, and today number one, the day one of this particular exercise, we'll see that markings would be done by the ASI in order to where to place the GPR machines, what techniques to be used on what site is. The first day would go in actually analyzing.
I'll have to interrupt you over there because we have some major breaking news coming in on the same story. Now, this is the recent update on the survey that is currently underway at Gyanvapi complex. 4 teams have been formed from the members of the ASI survey team.
Welcome back. You're watching Nation at 5 here on CNN News 18, and now we have breaking news that's coming in, and a toolkit that's coming in from Pakistan has now been completely exposed. CNN News 18 has accessed details of how Pakistan is trying to foment trouble, how Pakistan is trying to peddle propaganda and misinformation in the garb of news. There is a website that is now running, behind which is the Pakistan's ISI. The only intent of this particular website is to peddle fake propaganda against Kashmir, against India, and go on an anti-India tirade. We're now learning that the pro-separatist content is being published in this news portal. They're using their radio portal to carry out attacks on India as well. Abhishek, my colleague, joining us, getting us more details. But before that, let's take you through what this entire toolkit really looks like, what this plot of this particular so-called media organization really is. This is what intel sources are now telling CNN News 18. Now, the Kashmir Media Service is a news portal, or they claim to be a news portal, that's run by Pakistan's ISI. This is what this dossier that we've accessed now goes on to say. There's anti-India and pro-separatist content that is published on this particular website. That's the only intent of this website. It publishes falsified and distorted facts on Kashmir, lectures India about the alleged ill treatment of Muslims in Kashmir, all of which is far from the truth. This news portal is used to mislead the international community and ratchet up the entire Kashmir narrative like Pakistan has done time and again on multiple global fora. What this website then intends to do is defame the government of India, government of Jammu and Kashmir via this portal they claim is a news portal. Then it goes on to defame J&K Delimitation Commission as well. Remember, elections are impending in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. The delimitation process was taking place. There were rants against that as well on this particular portal. Terms like the Indian state terrorism in IIOJK, the Indian brutal tactics, these are the kind of terms, these are the kind of terminologies that they refer to on this particular website only to push forth false narrative about Jammu and Kashmir. False info on conversion lynching is also published specifically to Jammu and Kashmir. There are several other inferences to India as well. It furthers secessionist agenda against India. That's the only purpose of this particular website, is what we're now learning from our sources within the intel agencies. There is a radio portal as well on this website which is used for attacking India, which is used for anti-India tirade and only to further that agenda. Abhishek now joining us, getting us more details. Abhishek, this is a website that runs under the garb of a news website, but its only intent is to peddle false information, is to peddle misinformation, and it's not surprising that Pakistan is doing so.
Well, Poonam, this website is run by a bunch of separatist leaders or sympathizers. Many of them have migrated from Kashmir to the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, and now they are running this whole propaganda machinery with the help from Pakistani agencies, state agencies like ISI. Their content has mostly criticized India and its policy towards minority and towards Kashmir. The content is, totally pro-separatist, and since its inception, this news portal has purely dedicated to, itself as a separatist movement, what they call freedom movement of Kashmir. This news website has been presenting falsified and distorted facts and analysis pertaining to Kashmir, and from time to time carries self-complicated and fabricated news articles also around Kashmir issues. The editor is somebody who was from Baramulla, but now he is living in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and we can totally understand how a person living in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir can be very well supported and supported by these state agencies, and they are spinning that anti-India agenda and propaganda.
Right, Abhishek, do stay on with me. Security analyst Pathikrit Payne also joining us on this broadcast. Pathikrit, thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. Details are now trickling in of this proxy war in the digital age that Pakistan seems to be running. Not surprising at all, the kind of tactics that it's employing in this kind of cyber warfare.
Well, apart from the stated objective of, waging war to bleed India with 1,000 cuts, apart from using sub-conventional methods, one of the one of the tools that have been used by Pakistan for a long time has been the disinformation warfare campaign, and through which they try to make the fake narrative look real. So it has been going on for several decades now. It's only probably in the recent past, in the last few years, that we as a country have started taking counter-information warfare or countering the disinformation warfare more seriously than we did in the past. So I think it's a continuous war, and because of the proliferation of social media, because of YouTube, because of other means through which you can directly reach out to the mass without by bypassing all the censors, it's not very difficult for them to do it. But we have to be constantly on the edge that it is not just about combating terrorists and their masterminds, but also about making sure that the brainwashing propaganda and the tactics they use on a continuous basis, that is kept, a lid is kept on that. We have to remember that the whole Khalistani movement was created through those disinformation warfare they started long time back. And I think this disinformation they have continued as they find it more difficult to counter India through terrorism. This disinformation has become a major tool for them. Government of India has from time to time taken action in terms of banning many of those sites, but it's a continuous process, and we have to be far more careful in the in an era of artificial intelligence and dark net and dark web. So it's a continuous battle, and I think we have to be far more agile in this.
Yes, more steps need to be taken, especially on the global fora, isn't it? Because this is the kind of rhetoric that Pakistan whips up every once in a while as far as the global forums are concerned, ratcheting up the Kashmir rhetoric. Once again, websites like these are aiming to do exactly that. So India may try and, sort of block these websites here in India, try and put forth its narrative. But what happens when these kind of fake, misinforming news articles, as they claim to be, are published worldwide?
You have asked a very valid question, and that there comes the role of the embassies of India across all the countries, major countries, and the embassies have to counter it on a day-to-day basis, on a periodic basis, and you have to find out how those journalists are getting planted in Western newspapers. Where are those sources? Unfortunately, on many occasions when the Western journalists write articles, they resort and refer to these dubious websites and what is published over there. So, when it comes to the work of embassies across the world of India, it's not just about going out and reading out something. It is about making sure that you collect these grassroots intelligence about how the war of narrative is being fought out, who are the key players, how these narratives are being created, how the funds are coming for this creation of narratives, who are getting influenced, and how it is impacting India in terms of business, in terms of foreign direct investment, in terms of perception being created about India. So I think when it comes to these issues, India has done a lot of good work in the last few years. There is a Directorate General of Information Warfare that has been created under Indian Army. But I think overall, as a country, we have to take this information warfare far more seriously than we take right now, because we have been able to defeat them in conventional war. On issues of terrorism, we have an upper hand now in countering it, but it is the war of narrative and countering fake narratives.
And these kind of proxy wars that Pakistan seems to be waging, Pakistan seems to be having the space to wage this kind of war, this kind of narrative war that they are building up against India across the world. That is something that needs to be stopped. Pathakrit, thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. On that note, we're slipping into a quick break here on this edition. Back in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Brought to you by all the teams are doing survey work at different locations. This is what we are learning, and this is happening inside the Gyanvapi campus as well. Means one team is working on the western wall and the other team is working under the tomb. So this is the recent update we have about that survey, which is currently underway. We have News 18's Amit Singh joining me live on the broadcast.
सर्वे किया जा रहा है, लगातार सर्वे किया जा रहा है ताकि जल्द से जल्द इस सर्वे को कंप्लीट करना है, क्योंकि 4 अगस्त को सर्वे रिपोर्ट कोर्ट में दायर करना है। हम लगातार अपने दर्शकों को तस्वीरें भी दिखा रहे हैं, अंदर की अपडेट भी लगातार दे रहे हैं कि सबसे पहले साफ सफाई किया गया, साफ सफाई के बाद वीडियोग्राफी हुई, वीडियोग्राफी के बाद अब जो सर्वे की जो प्रक्रिया है, जो इंची टेप से नापना, वीडियोग्राफी करना और तमाम जो साइंटिफिक तरीके से किस तरीके से जो उम्र है, जो कितने साल का ये बिल्डिंग है, कितने साल की पश्चिमी दीवार है, कितने साल का गुंबज है, उस बारे में पता लगाना। तो अब ASI की टीम लगातार काम कर रही है।
Muslim side has already moved to the Supreme Court. They have knocked the Apex Court's gate today. The matter is going to be heard on the same as well. So the Muslim side is clearly not very happy with Varanasi Court's order and allowing them for the ASI's survey. Today we have some reactions coming in from the Muslim side. Let's listen in.
इमाम व ख़तीब शाही जामा मस्जिद ज्ञानवापी बनारस व जनरल सेक्रेटरी अंजुम इंतज़ामिया मसाजिद बनारस।
आज सर्वे हो रहा है, उसको लेके मुझे लोगों की
हमारी प्रक्रिया ये है कि हम लोगों ने कल डीएम साहब और कमिश्नर साहब, पुलिस कमिश्नर साहब के आवास पे मीटिंग हुई थी। डीएम साहब भी वहाँ मौजूद थे। तो हम लोगों ने उनसे कहा कि भाई ये जो सर्वे होने जा रहा है उसकी हमें एएसआई द्वारा कोई सूचना नहीं मिली है और कोई नोटिस वगैरह हमको मिली नहीं है, तो हम उसमें शामिल नहीं हो सकते। दूसरी बात यह कि उस आदेश के ख़िलाफ़ हम सुप्रीम कोर्ट गए हुए हैं। आज हमारी हेयरिंग है, तो जिस चीज़ में आज हेयरिंग हो रही है उसी चीज़ में हम वहाँ शामिल कैसे हो सकते हैं। तो हम लोगों ने लिखित रूप से इन लोगों से गुजारिश की कि आप अपने द्वारा हमारी बात आगे उधर पहुँचाएँ कि इसको एक दिन के लिए आगे बढ़ा दें, ताकि हमारी ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट वाला जो मरहला है वो गुजर जाए। उसके बाद हम उसमें शामिल होंगे, उसमें आपका ताउन करते, आपका सहयोग करते। लेकिन अब उन लोगों ने वादा तो किया था कि आपकी ये बात ऊपर पहुंचाई जाएगी, क्या हुआ क्या नहीं हुआ। अब आज सर्वे हो रहा है, तो इसलिए हम लोग ने उसको
आज सुप्रीम कोर्ट में तो आप लोगों ने क्या सर्वे का बहिष्कार किया हुआ है?
बहिष्कार किया हुआ है
जी। किसी तरह से कोई पक्ष मुस्लिम पक्ष की तरफ से अंदर नहीं
कोई,
मौजूद है?
कोई उसको शामिल नहीं है।
अच्छा, जो आदेश आया था उसमें क्या लिखा था कि 4 तारीख तक सर्वे रिपोर्ट सौंपी जाए कोर्ट को?
हाँ।
कि क्या क्या सर्वे किस तरह का होगा, ये रिपोर्ट सौंपी जाए?
ये डिटेल जो है अभी हमको वो कल रात में काफ़ी मिली हुई है, अभी हम उसका पढ़ नहीं पाए हैं, ये तो वहाँ मालूम होगी। लेकिन इतना ये है कि हम जो है, क्योंकि ये 2 वजह है, इस वजह से हम उसमें शामिल नहीं हैं।
आज सुप्रीम कोर्ट में क्या पक्ष रख रहे हैं आप?
सुप्रीम कोर्ट में कि भाई ये एक तरीके से जब जिस चीज़ पर रोक लगी हुई है, सन 91 से रोक लगी, स्टे लगा हुआ है, और उसका स्टे को इसको नज़रअंदाज करते हुए आदेश जारी कर दिया गया, तो उसके खिलाफ हम गए हुए अपनी बात कहेंगे भाई ऐसा है। अब सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जो फैसला होगा वो देखा।
लेकिन वो हिंदू पक्ष कह रहा है कि मुस्लिम पक्ष डरा हुआ है, इस वजह से सर्वे नहीं चाहता, इस वजह से विरोध कर रहा है।
ये बिल्कुल, ये हमने अभी कहा कि अगर एक
I have CNN News 18's legal correspondent Ananya Bhatnagar joining me live on the broadcast. Ananya, clearly the Muslim side is not very happy with Varanasi court's order. They have reached the apex court also. What do we know about that? Also, could you tell us the major key takeaways from the past surveys on the same complex?
Well, definitely, Sakshi, the matter is before the topmost court of the country, and urgent mentioning would be made, as we have been told by the Muslim side with regards to the orders that have been passed by, in fact, the Varanasi court directing Archaeological Survey of India survey at this particular site, except for the Vazu area, which has been sealed by the topmost court of the country by its earlier orders. Now, what is very important to note is that they have also sought a particular direction that all of the suits that are pertaining to the Gyanvapi case and this whole disputed site should be stayed until the Supreme Court actually give its final verdict. So whether or not that would be allowed is something that is a matter of time. But as you asked me the second part of your question, what are the key takeaways of the previous surveys? Now, in the previous survey, the Advocate Commissioner's survey, the videography was done of the Vazu Khana area, where what the Hindu side claims it to be a shivling, while the Muslim side says that it's a fountain that has been found there. But at the same point of time, we have to understand the demography of that particular whole structure, the Gyanvapi site, includes various areas, which includes a central dome. There are 3 basic domes. The Hindu side claims that on the central dome, under beneath that, there is a Tehkhana, where in fact there would be 2 more shivlings, and in fact the original shivling of the Adi Visheshwar temple that would be gained back is what has been claimed by the Hindu side. Apart from that, what has also been stated is that on the northern and the southern side of it, the Tehkhanas are another Tehkhanas are there, and in fact under that also we might see that the Hindu relics are found. Under the central dome, there is a hollow sound that comes, which is basically the Hindu side claims is there has been some kind of artificial construction that has been made in order to hide the actual structure of that central dome, and to say that there was a Hindu site that was existing there. Apart from that, the western wall, which is one of the key important aspects of this particular survey, is that that wall is engraved with Hindu relics. It has signs of swastik and various other Hindu relics that are there. Also, that the pillars that are there at the Gyanvapi site stand on, in fact, these pillars are of the Hindu temple which Aurangzeb had raised, and then a mosque was built, is what has been claimed by, in fact, the Hindu side. Now, what are the dating techniques and what are the techniques that would be used by the Archaeological Survey of India to actually conduct this survey? Two major techniques would be used by, in fact, the Archaeological Survey of India. One is the GPR, that is ground penetrating radar. Now, what ground penetrating radar is, that it is a machine consisting of two parts. One is a transmitter and one is a receiver. Now, the transmitter is placed in order to send electromagnetic waves down, in fact, down to the ground, beneath the ground, in fact, to see as to whether something is beneath that particular ground, and if at all there is some kind of a structure or some kind of a artifact that is buried under the ground, that wave would hit it and would come back to the receiver, which would show that there is something, and then excavation can actually take place. And if at all something is found, then a dating exercise is carried out in order to know as to which period does this particular relic or particular the point in contention comes from. It would also be carried out on the pillars and the central dome of, in fact, this particular site. So how will the archaeology, and today number one, the day one of this particular exercise, we'll see that markings would be done by the ASI in order to where to
Welcome back. You're watching Nation at 5. Let's get you some breaking news that's now coming in. And this is a video that has now been tweeted by Akali Dal's Harsimrat Kaur Badal. This video is from Punjab. It involves an Aam Aadmi Party MLA. It is Aam Aadmi Party MLA's high-handedness is what the Akali Dal is now alleging. This is the video that has been tweeted. It's a viral video that has now been retweeted by Harsimrat Kaur Badal, in which you can see an interaction taking place between the person in the car, which is believed to be Aam Aadmi Party MLA from Punjab, is what Harsimrat Kaur Badal is speaking of. The video is being recorded. As you can see, he's speaking to the person who's recording that video, and a few seconds into it, he then tries to shove, push and throw that phone away. You'll see that happen in just a few seconds from now. There it is, that phone being dropped. What exactly transpired? What led to this kind of behavior? We'll have to wait and watch out for. We'll have to find out. But that is the allegation that has come to the fore from the Akali Dal against Aam Aadmi Party MLA in Punjab. Pankaj, my colleague, joining us, getting us more details. Pankaj, exactly हुआ क्या था? ये वीडियो किसने बनाई थी और इस वीडियो से पहले जब बातचीत हो रही है तब हो क्या रहा था?
देखिए, ये कल शाम चंडीगढ़ के सेक्टर 22 की वीडियो है, और क्योंकि इसमें जो विधायक से बातचीत हो रही है, सब इंस्पेक्टर की, विधायक से News18 ने थोड़ी देर पहले बात की तो उन्होंने अपना स्पष्टीकरण दिया और ये कहा कि इस सब इंस्पेक्टर ने कुछ दिन पहले उनकी पत्नी के साथ जब जा रहे थे उस समय भी नाके पर रोका था और तकरीबन आधे घंटे जानबूझ के उनको खराब किया था। और इस वीडियो के सामने आने के बाद अब जो ओपोजिशन की पार्टियां हैं, चाहे हरसिमरत कौर बादल हो, चाहे विक्रम मजीठिया हो, चाहे पंजाब में विरोधी दल के जो नेता है प्रताप सिंह बाजवा, वो आम आदमी पार्टी पर निशाना साध रहे हैं कि पुलिस के साथ किस तरह से इन्होंने बदसलूकी की, पुलिस का फोन छीनने की कोशिश की गई और पुलिस को गालियां दी गई। हालांकि जो अमोलक सिंह हैं, आम आदमी पार्टी के विधायक हैं, जैतों से आते हैं, उन्होंने स्पष्टीकरण देते हुए News18 पर कहा कि उन्होंने किसी भी तरह से कोई बदतमीजी नहीं की है, बल्कि 2 बार पिछले 15 दिनों में पुलिस इसी सब इंस्पेक्टर की तरफ से उनको जानबूझकर रोका गया। जब बताया गया कि ये विधायक हैं तो उस समय उन्होंने कहा कि आप जैसे 36 लोगों को देखा है और बदतमीजी पर उतरा है। ये स्पष्टीकरण आम आदमी पार्टी के विधायक का है। लेकिन जिस तरह से जो वीडियो कुछ सेकंड की वायरल हुई है, उसको लेकर अब पंजाब में हरसिमरत कौर बादल से लेकर तमाम जो अपोजिशन पार्टियां हैं वो आम आदमी पार्टी पर निशाना साध रही हैं।
Ji Pankaj, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that. We're shifting focus from that to news reports now coming in from Jammu and Kashmir. It is Kargil Diwas in a few days from now, 2 days from now in fact, and the countdown, the preparations have all begun. CNN News 18 is on ground there to look at what exactly the Indian Army's preparations are going to be like. My colleague Ishan Vani getting us these ground reports.
1999 Kargil war was an important battle. Here in Kargil, it was fought in these mountains behind me. My video journalist Bashir Loon will show you several of these peaks which were occupied by Pakistan, where this important battle of the recent past of India and Pakistan was fought. These mountains were occupied by Pakistan, and then the bravery of Indian Jawans to climb up there and fire and to evict them from these positions is history well known to the entire nation. And these tombstones are signifier of those lives which were given by the army Jawans, not only in that battle but also in several other battles, with the 65, before that and after that. These are to pay homage to all those soldiers who laid down their lives fighting for the nation and for the better tomorrow. Today this Indian flag in Kargil is flying because several soldiers gave their lives to hold back the peaks where Pakistan had intruded. This is the Kargil War Memorial in remembrance of all those brave hearts who laid down their lives for the nation fighting Pakistan in 1999 when Pakistani army regulars occupied all these peaks behind me: Batra Top, Tiger Hill, Rhino Horn. These are the peaks where Pakistan was sitting and right looking down on the Indian soldiers. And that was a time when India thought of giving a befitting reply. Bofors, guns, several Jawans from different units, be it the 3 infantry, 8 MTN division, several other army units joined, and the saga of supreme sacrifices is where it's remembered. On 26th, which is 2 days ahead of us, will be the day when we are hearing that Defense Minister along with the top army officials will come here and pay his homage to all those Jawans who laid down their lives fighting Operation Vijay. We're right now inside the Remembrance Gallery. This is one place where every picture of those who fought and laid their lives for the nation is there. We have gotten exclusive access because day after tomorrow Defense Minister Rajnath Singh is expected to visit this gallery. These pictures signify that how army swung into action. General VP Malik was the Chief of Army Staff, Air Chief Marshal also there strategizing the entire Kargil operation. You also have Battle of Tololing. These signify that how army men went from different locations to reoccupy and to reclaim actually the Tololing, the important Battle of Tololing. You can see Jawans with tricolor, because tricolor hoisting was the top objective on those peaks where Pakistan was occupying positions. You can see with huge payload, army men moving to their positions and their task. It's not easy to stay in those mountain peaks for a very long time. Then .4857, which was fought between 4 to 7 July in 1999. This also was one of the critical battles for Kargil. And these galleries, I'll ask my Vijay to show you. These are the pictures of those who won Paramveer Chakra on the top, where Captain Vikram Batra, whose stories are still recalled by the many in the army and lives on as an inspiration for several generations to come. It's the highest decoration for the most act of bravery in presence of the enemy. Then Mahavir Chakra, pictures of those who were awarded Mahavir Chakra. Several of them have lost their lives, but several of them are still alive, serving in the army and ready to tell their stories of bravery. Today I'm inside Hut of Remembrance, a place devoted to all those who fought bravely against Pakistan and also those who laid down their lives while defending the nation. I'm going to take you around this particular gallery, but let's start first. This is Victory Flame, which was lit on 14 July 2019 to commemorate the 20th anniversary of Kargil Vijay Diwas. Started a journey from National War Memorial, New Delhi, and then through 11 towns and cities it reached Dras here, where the flames were merged, and then this memorial has since then had this victory flame. You can also see there are names of all those Jawans who were part of the operation in Dras, and then you also have these important elements which have been added to this gallery. We'll have Rajnath Singh visiting this gallery. Remember, day after tomorrow we'll have Rajnath Singh, Defense Minister, here on the 24th anniversary.
Apprehensions over the Seema Haider case. Are people blowing it out of proportion that this woman came from Pakistan and managed to enter India, or do you think this is indeed a security concern for India?
critical about the government is one thing, but obsessed about one man is another thing. Multiple people in that 28 parties said the same thing. Our agenda is to defeat Modi. So much so, sir, they were not even clear about the name.
Why is the NDA being revived? Is there a genuine sort of fear within the BJP and the NDA that this 26-party alliance, at least on paper, looks formidable?
Good evening and a warm welcome. You're watching Viewpoint with me, Grihatul. The Parliament showdown over the Manipur crisis continues to be our top focus story as it is day 3 of the monsoon session and the status quo on the stormy note that it began on remains. The opposition protest in the Parliament complex demanding that the Prime Minister Narendra Modi make a statement in the House has taken a new turn altogether. After the suspension of Aam Aadmi Party MP Sanjay Singh from the Rajya Sabha for the rest of the monsoon session for quote-unquote repeatedly violating the directives of the chair while protesting on the Manipur issue, now opposition parties have upped the ante against the union government, claiming this to be an attempt at throttling their voices. The suspension, remember, came after the leader of the House, Mr. Piyush Goyal, moved a motion in this regard and it was adopted by the House by a voice vote. Also, after this entire suspension drama played out of the Parliament, Union Home Minister Amit Shah also briefly addressed the Lok Sabha, saying that he was ready to discuss the Manipur situation, although the opposition is the one that is stalling the proceedings. To this, the opposition alliance under India has decided to hold an overnight protest at the Gandhi statue inside the Parliament complex.
सरकार मणिपुर के ऊपर बात करने के लिए तैयार नहीं है, मोदी जी सदन में आने के लिए तैयार नहीं है, हमारा विरोध जारी रहेगा।
We are united. Our only demand is that Prime Minister should come to Parliament and we are